Hello and welcome to this week's Dark Serenity video. I want to thank you guys for joining me again if you've been here before, and for those of you who are new and first time catching this, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy the content I'm putting out. Uh, Today's video, we're just going to be going over some of the stuff that I've done. I was going to include some uh, wonderful video of me time-lapsing some work that I was doing, and I found out that I put my camera into slow-mo mode, so the opposite of the time lapse. But to be fair to me, the top of my camera has a little guy that's running, and you would think that that would be fast, not the slow-mo. Oops. Um, it happens. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can tell, but I do have a new microphone. It's not the world's best microphone. It was just a little cheap, under $20 one that I got on Amazon. However, it's pretty. I'm not going to lift it up because I like where it's at for the volume. I've already done some tests to make sure I like where it's currently sitting for recording the volume. And I hope you guys like it because I think it's much better and much improved over the previous built-in microphone. So it should be doing better. Yay! Uh, doesn't help me when I'm trying to record on my camera, so if I do record on that and you guys hear the volume from that, I am sorry if it's not perfect, but that's another day. That's another day for Tika to deal with. So, uh, also for those of you who don't know, I'm Tika. So there's that. What have I been doing this week? I have been doing a whole lot of 3D printing and 3D printing failing. So last week with my chaos video, I showed off some of the bad yarn attempts where I attempted to 3D print a yarn winder or even spool attachments to replace the spindles that I already have, and I failed a lot. And then I tried some more over this last week and failed a lot more. And I'm kind of done wasting my filament on that for now. I may try to 3D print one micro size just so I can test it out on a smaller scale with less waste, but that may or may not happen. I did get more of the pink and black filament. You can kind of see the little stand right here that I made for my mother. I've moved on to the organization and stuff that I've wanted to do using my 3D printer, heavily into the Gridfinity. I'm also helping my mother out to organize some of her stuff, make it a little bit more easy for her to get to what she needs to, and just upgrading things in general. I also 3D printed some stuff for my sibling, which I'm going to post the picture here. It's a yarn bowl. Came out a little smaller than we were anticipating it being. I can scale it up, and if they want me to, I will. It looks like, though, that they might be having me 3D print them a different yarn bowl, which looks cute, so I might be 3D printing it for myself as well. Other than that, I have reprinted a few upgrades for my 3D printer, so I now have the sliding vent riser. I have the runout sensor mount properly done. I do need to get some screws so it properly is done up. It works well enough for where it's at now. I have magnets coming today, so I can hopefully glue on the poop chute and stop having to pick it up off the floor, because that's getting really annoying. I did also pick myself up some cement paver stones to try to put underneath it, because the desk I have, which I thought was sturdy enough, is a little bit wobbly. It's not a lot of it wobbly, but it is a little bit. So I've got some paver stones to go underneath that. And I've 3D printed a bearing style spool mount. I don't know if I love it. I think I may have printed it a little too weak, so I've got to reprint it because part of it cracked already. But I do also have the bearings coming for that. It was one that I should potentially have been able to run even without having the bearings on it, but the bearings would make it smoother. I don't know. But it was a little bit heavy, and it wasn't even like a 3 kilogram or the 5 kilogram spools. It was just the standard 1 kilogram. So I'm not certain if I'm going to stick with that particular build. Maybe I printed it in the wrong material. I gotta do a bit more research on that and maybe reprint it. However, from what I could tell, most people printed that in ABS. Otherwise, I've got a picture here of the 3D model that I printed for my boyfriend. Made it for him for Valentine's Day. It's one of the characters he had said that he wouldn't mind having 3D printed. He's got some opposable arms and his head kind of tilts a little bit. It didn't print perfect, but it printed perfect enough. I have a few more attachments that I need to put on my 3D printer, such as this guy. I'd previously printed the Uncle Jesse's filter attachment that screws onto the back, and it was wonderful. It sat there. I haven't actually even used it. I don't have any filters for it. But given that I am scent sensitive, some of the materials that I'd like to print in for stability, like the ASA, I can't, because I can't risk being in here with the fumes. And I really don't want to give up my craft room. So my solution to that was I saw somebody had put a vent attachment, so they could attach that, put the carbon filter in there, have it vent through that, and then just run it out through my window down there. I will need to print something for the window with the opposite attachment, so I can attach the hose that way. And then unfortunately my dog will have to get out of the way every time I want to print that material, so I will probably not leave it permanently in there. But I figured before I get to, working on the back and permanently fixing the poop chute and everything onto the back, since I've got to deal with that today, I may as well make it easy enough for me to get there with this, so it's less work in the future, hopefully. One moment. So I don't know if you guys have a Dutch Bros near you, but I highly recommend their Dutch waters. I know it's just flavored water. Not everyone's up for it. But the Rose City is delicious, especially with watermelon added into it. It's just watermelon, peach, and strawberry. Normally just peach and strawberry with coconut milk. Delicious. I absolutely love it. Things I did not show off last week because it was a chaos video, and I do apologize for the lack of editing. There will be editing in this one too. Hopefully take out some of the extremely raw footage. But I had mentioned it and never actually got to showing it off. But I have done some resin work because I'd like to include some resin ideas in some different crafting bits that I wanted. And I even thought about using resin to help smooth out the surface of some of my projects. I have since realized that that is not going to work for all of my projects, but maybe a few of them. However, I've got, let's see if I can get a good view in the light. He's a green turtle. And then I have a bluish, oh, the blue one turned out beautiful in that light. Okay. So let's see if I can't get the green to show that again. Nope, the green is just too dark. It's okay. But the green and the blue turtles, they turned out nicely. There's a few rough, sharp edges on the bottom. And on the blue one, there was a very big air bubble at the very bottom. However, there's a hole right at there, so I'm going to be attempting to get some more resin and just use like a syringe and fill it in and then re-cure it and see if that'll work to hold that in there and fix that. Otherwise, they turned out beautifully. I do got to get a little Dremel tool to help smooth out some of these sharp edges, as well as drills, so that way I can put the keychain bits into them. Other ones that I created, again, these were all tests. They were done with pre-colored resin, which I don't know if I loved. I don't know if I hated. It's my only experience with the resin, so I figured it was fine. The resin kits that I bought, I had a little butterfly sampler that I put each of the colors into, and I wish I had taken a screenshot or a picture of them, hindsight. But then I decided I was going to try to embed them in a skull, and you can't really see it. It didn't work so well. I used way too dark of an amber color because I thought it would be cute, like a sunny sunflower red yellow, and have the butterflies embedded in there. I had a great vision for it, a poor execution. Um, the bottom half cured really well and has the butterflies in it, but they're kind of almost invisible because they blend in just a little too well and they're a little too dark with the coloring. I might have been better had I done like a layer of clear, embed the butterflies, and then at like the center area put the amber color I wanted. However, when I went to pull this one out, again, there was a hole at the back and it wasn't fully cured, even though the bottom felt fully cured. So when I pulled it out, a bunch of the resin leaked out. So the top half of the skull is solid, and there's a portion in there that is completely hollow. Likewise, when I thought I'd gotten that figured out what I had done wrong, my take two, same color, just no embeds, and it felt solid until I went to pull it out and the bottom part sloshed a little. I pushed it back in and it cured again. Again, when I pulled it out, it had a little leaky spot. So two of them, the bottom part did not cure. However, attempt number 3 worked beautifully. It's just a little amber colored skull. I don't love it. I don't hate it. The color is what the color is. I'm not buying that color ever again. Unless I have a specific project that needs it, but I don't foresee it. It was a brownish, tan, ambery color, and it just didn't work. What did work, however, was my blue skull, and he turned out beautifully. Again, I just have to deal with some of the edges, and what a lot of people had mentioned was that when you cure it, and I didn't know this at the time, but to overfill it because it would sink in a little bit. So this one did sink in just a little, but I might like that. There is a few air bubbles in here because when he first cured, he popped out and I could turn him and the outside of him was fully cured, but the inside was liquid. So there's a couple of weird spots with air bubbles in here, but I just set him out in the sunlight for about 10-15 minutes and he finished curing and had no problem after that. That was really unique, and I was like, oh. At the same time as that one was just about done, there was this guy, and he's not going to show up quite right. I have tried a few different times to get this one to show up on camera, and even in direct sunlight, it's not showing quite right as it does in person. So I tried to do a layering effect with this one where I layered the purple colors, the blues, light blues, greens, yellows, red, orange to that ambery color to try to make a rainbow skull. And it sort of worked. The blues and the purples mostly blend together, as do the two shades of like a bluish green and the green. The yellow and the orange, like, it's barely yellow. The orange that's there almost blends in with the red, and then the red and that ambery color kind of just like splooshed to a bottom. So it's not a perfect one. However, it came out better. Unlike the blue one, which was still liquid when I pulled it out, this one was solid except for soft. So I had a harebrained idea to take the eyelet screw and just shove it into its skull, and it worked. And I also set this one out at the same time as the other one to finish curing in the sunlight. And it cured. It's fully hardened in there. I am not going to be attempting that again because I don't need to risk ruining a project just because, ooh, a few minutes extra and I can stick it in without having to drill. I think I'm just going to try to drill into the skulls and just add the screws that way. It's totally fine. But it surprisingly worked. So I have one of them on a keychain. That is all I did with the resin for now because that was all I had. I have a couple other molds in that I want to try and a few other ideas. And I may even want to eventually try making like some of the big crochet eyes for myself to use because I've seen some of them and they look pretty, but I don't know if like the ones I see I'm like, oh, that's pretty, but I don't know if that would work for what I want to do. And I'm a big fan of being able to experiment in my own home, so I may or may not. But yeah, that's all I did for resin. For fiber art, and I have another big skein downstairs, I frogged a project. It was great. So, I don't know if I showed the full thing off in my very first video, but I had created a capelet from a pattern that I had found on Ravelry, and it was gorgeous, it was fabulous, but it didn't go all the way down like I wanted it to be like a full waist length cape. And while I could have in theory just continued the pattern going down, it would have also left it sitting with a large, like almost two-hand gap. And as an individual with a large blessing in the chest area, I didn't want that. I wanted something that could fully close, so I figured I would crochet a cape to go underneath it and then just attach the two. And I started it over a year ago, and I was quite a bit heavier then. I've lost a bit of weight since then, and I'm still working on losing more. And apparently I thought I was double the size I was last year because that thing was huge. And I kept crocheting on it, being like, I'm trusting the process. I'm trusting the process. I was creating the process. I cannot trust the process that is not being tested. So I failed. And that happened. Oops. But no, I frogged it all. The big cake at the bottom is double stranded, whereas the little top cake is my single strand section. Because I'd done a single strand to where the capelet, like just about an inch before the capelet ended. And then I double stranded so it would be thicker and warmer underneath, but where the capelet was wouldn't be like super hot and heavy. Probably resulted in some of the failure. I don't know. I might revisit that idea years down the line, but I am now repurposing that into a, oh my goodness, wild oleander scarf, because I've been enjoying making those. I very briefly showed it off in the last one, but I have this one that is completed. I have another one where I ran out of the cream colored yarn midway working on it. And all I have to replace it is a white yarn. And I don't like how it looks. It's way too obvious. Like it's like a eggshell white, so it's not like vibrant white. But the other one was more of a buttery color. And so it's very obvious. Let me pull it up and I'll show you how very obvious it is. I tried. I did try, and I'm going to be frogging it back to either find more of the off cream color or maybe just remaking it with the white. But you can see the couple of rows that I tried. I may even just frog it down to here and then do the white. I don't know. I don't know. So it's fine. But I am working on a little infinity shawl type thing with this pretty brown, cream colored one. This is just another variegated skein of yarn that my sibling gave to me. And then my slow-mo mistake on my camera did not capture me doing the entirety of my shell stitch project. So this is the square I was making for the shell stitch, and it's significantly bigger than the little granny square, because even at this size granny square, which I think is more than an adequate size granny square, the shell stitch didn't have enough space to make the pattern really shine the way I would like it to. So instead of trying to cut it down to just that and do a border around it, which was not working the way I wanted it to, I chose to make it a little bit larger, which means my ultimate plans of having a bunch of squares all the same size are out the window. So I've decided that my new project, while it is going to be the same blanket design, the difference is I'm going to be doing the square patterns in a size that seems right for that pattern to show it off, you know, in its entirety. Probably not much smaller than this guy in general. And then I'm just going to patch them together in a way that makes sense once I have a whole bunch of pieces. So that way it looks pretty, it looks nice. Other than that, I still have my knitting project that I need to really finish. I've not been in the mood for knitting, and my poor hand, the weather has been changing. It's been hot, it's been cold, it's been 60 something degrees, it's down to 40 degrees, it's under 20 degrees. The arthritis in the hands is not happy, but it is what it is. I did not the other project that I 3D printed last week that I didn't get to show off because I misplaced it, was based off of this simple Band-Aid box that I got, I don't even remember how many years ago, but it used to have a little divider with some cute things in it to hold just like a little tiny travel kit of Band-Aids, and I thought it was cute, and so I've held on to it for years. So I printed a miniature Band-Aid box. And it does hold some Band-Aids, and I think this will go perfect like in my work desk drawer. But that's only because what I was using was a Johnson & Johnson, just little plastic first aid kit of doom, which didn't have anything but Band-Aids in it. So I think I'm going to take this little guy to work. He's not perfect. He wasn't what I was wanting. I was wanting to be able to create a couple of these that could maybe stack neatly and hold a whole bunch of different bandage sizes, or even hold multiple bandage sizes in them, which was not what this was. But that's because I wasn't looking at what I was printing before printing. I was just like, this'll do. I need to pay better attention on some of it. I also printed this style one, which is a Gridfinity one that's just got slots. And I thought it would be cute for Band-Aids because, you know, small, medium, large, extra small, whatever. Unfortunately, it too is not right for what I need it for. Like, it would be perfect in the right situations, but in my personal needs, it's just, I'm going to bump it and the Band-Aids are going to go everywhere. It may help at my mother's, but it's also not what I was looking for to make for her because she has 5 different Band-Aid bins because injuries happen all the time there. You get a little bit older, it's easier to snag your nail, rip a cuticle, all that. I'm so looking forward to that. Right now, it's just holding like my burn creams and that, and it does do a pretty good job of that, so that's not the worst thing. But it's not what I had intended for. But I printed that, and then I thought this one was a Gridfinity bin. It turns out it is not. It's just a square bin, and it's supposed to hold like rubbing alcohol wipes and eyeglass lens cleaning wipes. And I thought it was a Gridfinity one, which I was going to be putting in my work desk because I'm currently working on, like I said, my mom's house and my work desk to Gridfinity it. 1 second, I just dropped a bunch of stuff, so I gotta pick it up. Okay, I got that picked back up. But as I was saying, I'm working on getting the Gridfinity done for both her benefit and for my own. I've gotten base plates printed up. Purple ones are for my desk, and the green ones are the ones currently for my mother's house. I did run out of green material. I also ran out of the purple, which is why one of them's got some black on it. But these are the base plates. They don't necessarily need to be the prettiest thing in the world. They just need to work. For the bins, I have been trying to use a very specific shade pink that my mother got to choose. So I'm testing them out. Some of these might be for my desk. Some of them will probably be for her space, because I don't know how precise I want to go. Such as, do I want to mold it so it fits everything she needs and only that item, or do I want to go with a bit more of a generic empty bin in different sizes? So some of that's going to take some play. Same with my desk stuff. Some of it's going to be specific sizes. Some of it's going to be very precise. So in the pinks, I have this stack and another one that's just like it's on my printer. I haven't pulled it off yet. They are done though. These ones are 1.5 bins. So they fit a bit of a different sizing there. And then I have a few here that are just the 1 bin in length. So if I were to stack them together, you can grab this one, which can stack a little bit over another and all that, or take up a little bit of space but leave space below. It's got options, but they still all stack neatly. The other thing I printed, and I tried a different Band-Aid bin, was a print in place Band-Aid box. Now, it's print in place because while it's got hinges, I didn't have to do anything. Those are fully sealed on the inside hinges. It printed like this. I pulled it off the build plate and went, it works! Ah! It did come initially with these 2 trays in here. Sorry about that. That just sit like that. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand why it came with 2 full length ones. To me, it would have made sense if it had 1 and then like a 2-piece and a 1-piece, or 3 of the 1-piece ones to help hold stuff. It's supposed to be a Band-Aid box. We'll see, because I might want a more fixed items for that, because it's nice that you can pull these in and out. But it almost would have been better if they just designed it with the split on the middle with how it's designed. Now, because it is designed with the Gridfinity plan though, I am thinking I could take and print a couple of the individual bins and put them in here and use this for a crochet, Notion, sewing Notion box. So it's not a waste. but for a Band-Aid bin, it's not working out. However, third try is almost a charm. I say it that way because I got a really cute print. I'm going to hold some of these so I don't fall out. Now, it holds most of the Band-Aids I need. It's got my big ones, my mediums, and a spot for my smalls. And I could technically put more big ones here. I currently just have my antibiotic ointments in there. I think this one, and if I can figure out how to remix them and do some of the designing, I'm going to. I would make 2 of these small bins here, and then 2 of the larger, just because I do think that having a spot to put things like the antibiotic ointments and the small Band-Aids would be perfect. And this Band-Aid bin is perfect for these medium-sized ones. But if I move the big ones over and try to put those medium ones here, they just fall out. Could be a brand specific thing, but this looks like it's almost what I want it for my mom. And it came with a cute lid that's supposed to sit here. Hold it all nicely. You got this little spot here to lift. And the little thing that helps hold it closed is right here. It snapped off the first try. Now, because I knew this was going to be something that needed a little bit of strengthening, I did increase my walls to 5, and I did choose a bit stronger of a infill. I chose the 3D honeycomb. I know the wall strength is more of what makes it stronger, but I figured that couldn't hurt. And it snapped off immediately. So I wasn't thrilled with that. And if I can find the piece, I'm going to attempt to reglue it back on and try again. I'm not going to reprint this in this way. I am going to probably try to remix it, but make the lid magnetic on here, in which case I could probably do away with the little scoops and just have it sealed shut. So that's an idea. But again, that requires me learning CAD software, which I do not know how to do yet. But I'm running into a lot of projects that need me to learn this. So there's that. Didn't work out perfect. Mistakes were made. Things to be done and refixed. That has been pretty much all of this week's crafty fun stuff. I am going to probably try to get some video recording now that I know how to do time-lapsey stuff on here, as well as some regular video from here because I think it's fabulous. I'm also going to try to take some pictures of some of the stuff that I want to show close-up detail on to see if I can't get it with a bit better camera. It's probably not going to be in this video though because I have to get this edited and I want to get that done before too much later tonight so I can go and relax for the last of my days off this week. I also have laundry to do, so that sucks. Stupid adulting. I don't love it. Otherwise, most of my crafting projects are up to date. Minecraft is currently on hold. Because I'm having to figure out how to do a bunch of the different things because I very much want a very customized pack. And B, because I think when I go to play it, I am going to actually need either to upgrade my computer or I'm going to have to upgrade my hard drive. Because I'm already running into storage space issues. I know I've got enough RAM, but my storage is very limited. I've been having to make sure I clear stuff off in order to fully process my videos. Which is the other reason last week I chose not to edit, was I didn't have the space and I didn't have the mental acuity to clear stuff without deleting stuff I maybe needed later. So that was fun. But yeah, no, that's gonna be on hold for just a minute while I get it cleared out and figured out what I want, and that way I can run the programs I want to run in the background, as well as have all my other stuff downloaded to either my hard drive or the system, because apparently 1 terabyte is not nearly enough. But apparently I can now very easily fill a terabyte on my computer. I don't even have a lot of stuff downloaded. All my music and all that is on my hard drive, which is also almost full. So I have 2 terabytes worth of stuff between both my external hard drive and my computer. So that's going to be fixed and figured out. I'm also working on my ancestry while I still have stuff, because I just did my DNA. And it's been really fun finding out who my family is, because my biological father was adopted and he chose not to know them. So it's been real fun looking at the records and going through that. If you've ever been down that path, you know the fun. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me so much here on Dark Serenity. I'm going to wrap this up before I just keep rambling, because I will. And if you like the video, please go ahead and like, comment. If you haven't already, please subscribe if you're interested in catching more of my videos. They are going to get better as I get better at this, and I really hope to bring you guys along with this journey. And until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon, morning, or whatever time it is you're watching this.